Okay, so I'm recording. So I'm going to put us on record, and I'm just going to tell you that I absolutely love Jessica, and I love that she is doing this. She runs Durbin Bookkeeping. She works with women like us, and she is a genius. So she does work with a few of my clients. Like London has worked with her forever. That's how I met Jessica. And she is literally a genius in not just preparing for like taxes, but how to set up that business plan, what that looks like. She's really incredible with bookkeeping, and I love her, by the way. So I'm really glad that she said, yeah, I'll come talk to your ladies and let them know, answer questions. This is the perfect time because I know a lot of you ask me, do I need a corporation? What does that look like? How am I setting up? A lot of you don't even have a business plan for what you're doing. And you should always, if I like opened a lemonade stand outside, I'd probably have a business plan for it. Like, this is what I need. This is my break-even point. This is what I want to project out into the future. And we should be doing our businesses like they're real businesses, right? Because they are. And I want us to take them really serious and have that plan for us. When that money comes in, what does that look like tax-wise? Am I prepared for that? Because we're 1099ing ourselves basically, right? And so how does that look? I don't want to have this big, huge bill at the end of the year because now I didn't prepare for that. So Jessica, I'm going to let you just teach us a little bit about it. I'm going to open it up for questions and answers with Jessica afterwards. So it's all yours, Jessica Durbin.
Hello, nice to meet you guys. I am the owner of Durbin Bookkeeping. Just to give you a little background, I've been doing this since forever. Like my granny's been doing taxes and bookkeeping for about 35 years. My mom has been doing it for I think about like 25 years. So I've really been in it forever. So a lot of these things come really just like naturally to me. So like I've been doing my budget since I was like 15. And I think that that's a great starting point for any business. I'm sorry. And so, yeah, sorry. So starting point, budget, goals, getting things in order, right? Like organization is crucial for anybody who's trying to start a business or who is already doing a business. Because like, let me tell you, when tax time comes, I have so many clients that come to me, they haven't done their taxes for like 3 years because they're just like, I can't even look at it. And it's like, that's crazy to me because I feel like I want to know everything, but I'm a different type of personality. I'm very like type A where I need to know the ins and outs of everything. Like, for example, when I have a new client come to me and sometimes I have people show up with just shoe boxes filled with stuff of like a whole year's worth of their business. And it's receipts, it's bank statements, it's, everything and anything that they can think of to throw in this box. And it gets me excited because I see that as like puzzle pieces where I try to get, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about the phone. I'm at my office today. So I try to get people to understand the ins and outs of their business and what that entails and what that looks like based off of the puzzle pieces that they bring to me. And so with bookkeeping, I start with goals and I start with like projections of what their income usually would look like and see like, what their goal is for the future. What type of things that they want to accomplish with their business, and everybody's different. Everybody has unique circumstances. So that's what really fuels my fire, is getting into the thick of it with people and their businesses and unfortunately, I specialize in people who have no clue what they're doing because I like to help them figure it out and then give them the tools that they need so that once our time together is over, or like with my coaching, that they can, go off on their own and be perfectly fine, reach out if they need help, of course, but I want everybody to be able to stand on their own 2 feet and take care of what they need to take care of and be like the masters of their craft and pay attention to the things that they're passionate about versus the things that, drive them insane. Like finances usually make people go crazy. And for me, it makes me like really excited because I love to see people grow and flourish. And I can usually look at people's like business plans and know exactly what they need to do to make it to that end goal. And so it really makes me feel excited to like get to that point with people and see them flourish and reach their goals by the end of our coaching. And then for like bookkeeping and taxes, those clients that I have, I work with them usually from the beginning. Like I usually take tax clients that are just, they have W-2 income and they're really kind of looking towards like starting their own business in whatever profession that they do. And then I give them the tools that they need to then open their business, have a plan, get organized, set up their budget. If they have debt, we go over a plan of like tackling that debt. Because typically with people who are going to branch out and start their own business, they've worked with the company and they usually have like a 401k or some type of retirement setup, which then if you become self-employed, retirement gets a little bit hairier. So like you'd have to roll over a 401k or, you know, keep it in the pot, which is totally fine under certain circumstances. But I like to dive in deeper with people's, you know, unique situations and kind of give them the feedback that they need in order to not, you know, be just surviving in their business, but thriving. And so that's what I love to do. And that's just a little bit about me and my structure and what I like to do with my clients. And so as far as like the basics of finances and what you should be doing as like a small business owner would definitely be to start with your goals, start with what you want to accomplish, like I was saying before, and where you want your destination to go. Because realistically, like for me, I love serving people and giving them the tools that they need and bettering their life situations and making them feel less stressed. Like I feed off of people's energies and vibes and stuff like that. So I like to make them calm down, tell them what they need to do, and have a list laid out for them, because I've noticed a lot of my clients really love lists or like a checkbox that they can just like cross off the list, you know, set up goals in that fashion. I usually with my coaching teach like a curriculum, which goes from like week to week or month to month. And then we dive in deeper to other emotional issues around money, because frankly, I've worked with a lot of people that are older as well. And the generational triggers and things like that that come with money are insane to me. And I feel like things are changing, things are evolving in the world nowadays, and it's not so taboo to talk about money, but it still really is taboo to talk about money. And I like to talk to people about their shame around it, and I like to talk about, you know, just the basics around money and why it makes people go crazy. So with bookkeeping, the few tips that I have for you guys in order to, like, if you don't want to get a bookkeeper yet, if you don't have enough cash flow at the time and you're really just starting out, I would recommend doing a quarterly review on your business and see, you know, what the numbers look like, what the expenses versus the income look like. If you maybe possibly need to be paying in taxes, if you're having a very large profit and if you are just starting out, typically you start with a loss at the end of the year because you're putting out a lot in expenses towards starting your business. But if you are growing significantly, then I would suggest, like I said, doing a quarterly review. And if you have a profit, then I would take at least 10 to 12% of that profit and put it into a different account that's sort of out of sight, out of mind, so that it's more of a savings for taxes in the future. If you end up getting to that point where you end up owing, you have a little bit of a cushion in savings so that it's, you know, good to go. Or you can pay it in quarterly to IRS. I mean, I don't really recommend it because you never know, if you're just starting out with your business, you never know what you're going to owe, if anything at all, if you do show a profit. So I recommend just for the first couple of years, putting the money into savings and then going from there on a quarterly basis with making payments to IRS. And then also doing a separate account for personal versus business. So I have a ton of clients that come to me with their small businesses, and I have to see at least 3 months worth of their bank statement to give them a proper quote and to set up a plan for them. And I usually see personal and business expenses in together. And right off the bat, that's when I tell them you need to get a separate account just for the business, because it makes things really tricky in the case of like an audit. Like, let's say, heaven forbid, you know, it's been 4 years, you did your taxes, everything's good to go. And then IRS says, you know, we're going to do an internal audit on your taxes. We need all your receipts, all your bank statements. And if you have your personal with your business stuff, it's crazy to them. And it should be more organized. It should be separate, because those are completely separate entities, your personal life versus your business. So that's a very key factor. And then also planning for major purchases. So if you, like, in my hometown, I work with a lot of men with bookkeeping, and it's more like heating and air conditioning businesses, construction businesses. I work in the Valley, so it's a lot of, you know, stuff like that, hands-on with a lot of invoicing and things like that. And so I do, with my bookkeeping clients, I do a lot of reviews with them on a monthly basis, quarterly, mid-year, and the third quarter meetings are like the biggest one for me, because I go over the first 3 quarters of the month and tell them, you have this profit so far and projection that you may be paying this much in taxes at the end of the year. So maybe you should make a purchase or do something as far as equipment, or we go over their plan of action for the rest of the year for fourth quarter. And so I really like to get involved with my bookkeeping clients, because chances are I do their taxes as well. So it makes things a lot easier for me to work with those people and get them in line and on track for their goals and for taxes too, because I know what that looks like. And also I have a lot of business owners who also have a regular job. So I have people who with W-2 income and they're doing a business themselves. So then they have either like a sole proprietorship or even a corporation, which if you have a corporation, then those quarterly reviews on your business are going to be really important, because corporations are at 21% tax rate, and that stays the same for until I believe 2025 right now. And so staying at that percentage, you'll be able to calculate how much you could potentially be owing in taxes. So those reviews that you do on your business are really, really, really important. And then making any purchases that you've been thinking about, lowering your tax liability and things like that. But with a corporation, depending on what kind of corporation, it's a pass-through entity. So all of your expenses and income and profit and all of that's going through the corporation and then gets put onto your personal taxes. So that's really awesome, being taxed at 21% and then having the profit, the rest of it, go on your taxes. You can then see what bracket that you might potentially be in. So regardless of everything else, it's really awesome to be organized, know where you're at. And if you don't know what this all means, you might need to hire an accountant or somebody that's going to be able to explain your business to you in a fashion that's going to make sense. And so when I meet with my clients on a one-on-one basis, it's really easy for me to look at what they have going on and explain it to them like individually, customized to this person and their business, and tell them exactly what they need to do, like what way on the map, which I like to say that a budget is their roadmap to their destination, because it realistically is. Like, you'll see your income versus your expenses and you'll know exactly what you need to do, or I can explain it to you. So getting help if you don't know what you're doing is like really crucial for your business, because you want to thrive. So like for me, I used to be like, I'm not asking for help, I'm going to figure it out on my own. Like, I am so much that type of personality where it's like, I just want to figure it out. Like, why can't I do these things on my own? And sometimes it's okay to ask for help, because if it means that your business is going to grow further and expand and you're going to be thriving, and you can actually get that help, and you should just do it because you'll be able to grow so much more with the help of a team, and like getting an outside perspective on what you need to do, what you need to accomplish. If you don't know some of the terminology, if you don't know how certain things work, like, this is crucial for you to ask for help. And I've noticed there's a couple things in the chat. Oh my gosh, I know. Oh my gosh, yeah. So Scott just put in there, I think, I wish money and taxes were heavily taught in school. I am so excited that he brought that up, because I am going to be creating like a sort of, this is totally low key, nobody knows about this, but I'm going to create like a summer school program for parents to sign up for and bring their young children. Like for me, I have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. So my 3-year-old is amazing, and she already wants to save. Like, she has goals in mind. She's like, I want to get those roller skates. And I'm like, well, baby, you know what you need to do. So like, I want to teach kids the foundation of finances in a very like fun way, where it's like saving for roller skates, or, saving your chore money, or for older kids, maybe a 16-year-old saving up for a car, like what that would look like, and just establish those habits early on, because like, I grew up in it. So I was very fortunate to just know the ins and outs and like what I should and shouldn't be doing. And I just feel like that is one of the things that, like, at least, I don't know, 75% of my clients say that. They're like, I wish that my parents had taught me this, or I wish that, somebody had taught me this in school. Like, why am I sitting here learning about like the equation of like H2O and stuff when I could be learning like how to make a budget and survive in life? I mean, there are certain aspects that are really important in school, but this is like life stuff, like, so I understand completely. But yeah, so okay, so debt is also a factor when it comes to a business, right? So you want to make sure that you're tackling your debt in an appropriate way, which also leads you back to your budget. Or in the case of a small business, it would be your profit and loss statement. That's basically a budget for a business. And so with the debt, if you are starting out, taking loans out or things like that, then you want to make sure that you're putting an appropriate amount towards that category within your business, like making payments towards your debt, taking care of it as much as you can, making more than the minimum payment on credit cards, things like that. If you're using a credit card for business expenses, which I know a lot of people do to get those points and things like that, you want to make sure that you are at least making the minimum payment, but making more towards it. Or the best thing you can do is pay off those cards on a monthly basis so that it boosts your credit score and you don't, keep sitting on debt. And then also ways to increase income. So these are just things that I go over with my bookkeeping clients, which I feel like I'm going over a lot of information and it really is a lot. But when I meet with clients and I sit down with them, it's really easy for me to like explain this based on their circumstances. So when I say like increasing income, it means like for me, marketing and strategizing on what they could do differently within like social media or within the area that they live in, if they can do other other aspects of their business and bring in more income at, a pace where they're not completely stressing out and they don't have a life or anything like that, but also generating more income in different ways and branching out and things that maybe they didn't even think about when they started their business. So I really love doing that too, and getting to know people's personality and what I feel like they would be capable of doing within their business to grow it and flourish and thrive in that way. And then once my clients are good with like their debt, they have a budget going, they have goals in place, they're really, moving smoothly, I kind of touch on the subject of investing, because if there is the case of somebody wanting to become a corporation or like an S corp where they have shareholders and stocks and things like that, then it gets a little bit intense. But I feel like once people have their debt cleared up and they're good to go, investing is so easy and it makes you more money. You're working smarter, not harder. So like that is a subject that I really love to touch on with my clients, and because like I said, everybody's circumstances are unique. So like you really shouldn't invest if you have debt. But if you already have a retirement fund and you are going to switch over to being self-employed, then you need to look into a new option for retirement so that you can then, put money, contribute to it on a yearly basis, quarterly basis, whatever works for you, whatever plan that you choose to set up. And based off of that, I do have spreadsheets and things like that that I can send out if you guys have any questions on that, on like what it looks like for retirement and being self-employed. And then also adjusting areas of opportunity within your business's budget. On the profit and loss statement, you should be able to go through everything and see what's going in, what's coming out, and see where you need to adjust things. Like I have a lot of guys here that they use meals because they're out on the road, like construction guys and things like that. They eat out a lot, which everything on this list is a tax write-off for businesses. But let's say you're an individual and you're working like a regular job and you want to create a budget and craft that sort of thing. Looking at your areas of opportunity is a must on a monthly basis, because then you can see what you can take out. And then like if you have subscriptions to certain things, even if you do have a business, are these subscriptions something that you absolutely need for your business? It's just those little things that you can tweak so that write-offs are amazing for taxes, but sometimes if you're not generating a lot of profit in a month, then you might need to adjust the areas of opportunity just so you can bring that down a little bit. Let me check the chats again really quick. Okay, I have always used a separate bookkeeper and tax accountants. I like a team and the options or the opinions of different eyes, looking at all the angles. Or do you think that it is an expense I don't need? So I think, so for me, it works best if I do the bookkeeping and the taxes, because I know the ins and outs of everything. But if you have a lot going on, then utilizing, a CPA with an accountant, a bookkeeper, and having like a good solid team for that sort of thing, I do think that's a really great idea, because then you don't have anything falling through the cracks. Not to say that I'm, sitting here messing stuff up for people, but I work with a lot of small businesses. So if you're like a major corporation, and like I do have corporations that are like multi-million-dollar corporations, but they're very simple. So if you have a lot of entities going through these corporations and you feel that it would be in your best interest to have a team working on it as opposed to like one person making sure that everything is okay, I have a lot of tax clients who feel a little, weird about people looking at their money, or like I always say, like, I'm a bartender over here, because people have to tell me like their whole life story in order for me to even process their taxes, do what I need to do, ask them the appropriate questions as far as like, what they can write off, if they have mileage, certain things, like what are they doing for their job. So I think that if you want a team and it makes you feel better and less stressed out, then go for the team. I personally love knowing the ins and outs of my client's business. And I don't, like, I have one client, for example, that I go through. I do the bookkeeping, and he has a different person do his taxes, that he's had do his taxes for like 20 plus years. And so they have a relationship, and I completely understand that, because like I have a relationship with my clients and they've built that trust. And so if you have somebody that you really trust and it's a great team and you're totally solid with it, keep doing what you're doing if you have no issues come up. But I do know that I have had clients in the past that work with a CPA and then a bookkeeper, and things get like misconstrued, and then the accountant and the CPA don't like each other, so then they have to go back and forth, and like it just becomes kind of messy sometimes. But like I said before, if you like your team, stick with it. And then let's see, I'm going to open up questions. Tease that no one ever bothered teaching balance the checkbook. Yep.
Jessica, would it be easier if we just opened up questions so that you don't have to read them? I've asked them to write them down. And I know, like, I have a question. Scott had a great one when he said, do you mean bad debt or any kind of debt?
I saw that. I mean, bad debt. Yes, because mortgage, cars, things like that, good debt. Bad debt is like credit cards and like loans that you got right in the beginning of starting up your business, things like that, that you want to minimize as soon as possible. So yeah.
You know what? All of us who were in college and got your very first credit cards and like went berserk for the new shoes and, partying out with your friends. I know that all of you can probably relate to that, but I learned a really great trick in a class. They did teach me something, because I had 4 or 5 credit cards all maxed out and I was killing myself trying to pay them with high interest rates. They told me, take the one with the highest interest rate and like double or triple the payments on that one and make everything else the average until it's gone. Then do it to the next one and the next one.
That's the avalanche
and
method.
It worked. It worked. Like, now I am not allowed to carry a balance on any of my cards. Steve would kill me. He's like, we're using your money. This is for convenience, not for loaning, So now I just pay them off every month. But in college, I just had a good time.
Yeah, I always say if you can't pay for it in cash, then you probably shouldn't be purchasing it.
Does anyone have any questions for Jessica while she's here? Like maybe a couple of things that you need to do to start getting yourself more situated and comfortable with your finances in your business. I know a lot of people, because you talked about the difference between filing for a corporation and filing for a corporation. You better have 2 accounts or you no longer have protection under that corporation. So that's great, even if you don't, to start getting in the habit of that. But I know I get from the clients all the time, they're asking me, when is it the right time to start incorporating, to get a corporation to protect myself? Maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, so I recommend, like, I have several corporations, but they came to me already incorporated because they felt really, really scared. So that's fine, but you really shouldn't be incorporating until you make, I want to say, at least like 6 figures, as in like that's your general income for the whole year, because you're going to come up, if you're in California, for example, you're going to have a fee every year, $800 when you file your taxes. And that's just to stay incorporated. It's one of the highest taxes, like, for incorporating in America. The lowest is going to be Delaware. Delaware's is like $300 just to stay incorporated. And it's just a fee that the state gets to just charge for people who are incorporated, just so that they can stay incorporated. So the fees alone are kind of like annoying, but in a example of getting like sued or like things happening to you, it's, which would you prefer? And so when I say that, as far as taxes for the corporation, you're going to be staying at the 21%. So like, let's say you have W-2 income along with the corporation, or you're married, your spouse has W-2 income. What type of tax bracket are you going to be in just with your personal taxes? That's what you have to take into consideration when you want to incorporate. So if you're a sole proprietorship, a side business is really great to lower a tax liability if you're not going to be having an enormous profit. But if you do have the huge profit that puts you past like 35% tax bracket, like you're going to want to incorporate so that you can have that 21% on the corporation and then have that be the pass-through tax entity for the business. And then the K1 from that corporation is going to go onto your personal taxes. And then you're just going to be paying on the profit that's within the corporation. So it's not going to be double taxation. Double taxation comes with a C corporation. So hopefully if you guys are trying to incorporate, it's going to be along the lines of an LLC or an S Corp. S Corp is really amazing. And if you start with a C Corp, it's like ridiculously hard to transfer the C Corp to an S Corp. So what I would recommend is either an LLC or an S Corp if you do plan on incorporating.
And if you do an LLC, by the way, you can file as an S Corp. You just have to ask for it. So I filled out my papers and I got an LLC, but I file as an S Corp, which is amazing. Here's the other headache though, when you guys are thinking about this, they require you to have at least one employee, which means now you've got to deal with EIN numbers and filing for that and paying an employee. And it's usually just going to be yourself, whatever you decide to pay yourself for the year, because most of us are 1099ing all the people that are helping us. So that became another headache. So I'm so glad that Jessica's in the picture now. Does anyone have any questions about their current business or things that they could be setting up? Wow, I guess you covered a lot.
I have a quick question. So how do you know necessarily when to have someone that I'm working with and we're talking about starting a business together, and we were actually discussing, should we just stay as our separate entities or should we have something actually together? So do you have any recommendations on that?
I don't know what happened to Jessica.
She's on mute.
I just tried to unmute her.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So okay, let me ask you this. So both entities, are you guys both incorporated or are you both sole proprietorships? What does that look like at this starting point?
We are both, I think one of us has an LLC and the other one does not.
Okay, so that would be easy for you guys to, I mean, they can bring, whoever has the LLC can bring the other person on to it. But what I would recommend is a partnership. So basically, if you want to create a whole new business together, then you're going to want to dissolve whatever you have going on or keep it, but have them, stay separate, do your thing on the side or whatever you want to do with that. Or if you want to quit doing the LLC, on the side and just strictly be together and start a whole new thing, a partnership would be what I would recommend. And it's basically the same as having an S Corp, but it's with two people being in charge of it instead of just one.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? You know what? I have a quick question for you, Jessica. Is a DBA the same? Could they just do business as a DBA and not corporate because they're not making six figures yet and it would just be a pain in the butt?
Yes. So the reason you would do a DBA is because, like, for example, me being Durbin Bookkeeping, I don't have to go through anything with like the state on making my business legitimate or like my business license or anything like that because my name is in my business name. So like if I were to start a business called Fiercely Financial, I would have to document it, turn in paperwork, become something, and have it be like ran through months of paperwork just so that they and like run through the newspaper to make sure that my name wasn't taken. There's just like this whole process. And so being DBA would be like me saying, my business is Jessica Durbin, DBA Fiercely Financial. And that's how that works. And that would mean sole proprietorship. So that's just like a technical terminology that if you're a sole proprietorship and you have a name that doesn't have your actual like birth name in the title at all, then you would be doing business as this entity, but you don't necessarily have to, it doesn't have anything to do with like taxes or anything like that. It's just the paperwork and making sure that your business name is legit. No one else has your business name and you're for sure that entity.
Perfect. Does anyone else have questions?
I have one.
Oh, Tamara.
Hello.
Hi, Jessica. I'm just interested in a business plan that's specifically for coaches. I'm having a hard time getting my head around that.
Yeah, for sure. So I work with a lot of like health and wellness people, but for my own self, like let me just tell you a little bit about the coaching aspect of my business. So I basically pulled it out of thin air and decided I'm going to coach people because I'm awesome at it. so, so I had to sit down, and that's so crazy that you asked that, because I just had a meeting yesterday with one of my first clients ever with coaching. And I didn't even have like a curriculum. I didn't have like a program set up. I was like, I'm going to do coaching. Let's see who needs some help. I reached out to a couple tax clients that I know were just like, they had no clue what they were doing. And so this guy, I usually meet up with my clients from the past, on a like yearly basis, maybe like every 6 months, just to like review things. If they have questions, things like that, they can reach out to me whenever. But we were just talking yesterday because I created this program for my new Facebook group, and it has units, it has like a curriculum, a whole full-on program. And I was sitting there like, oh, let's look back and see like what the difference was, because I keep everyone's plans, and I have certain things that I do for certain clients, but I mainly have like a spreadsheet that I go over with our calls on a weekly basis. And so within the calls, I take notes on like literally everything we talk about. And so I'm like, okay, what were we talking about, this month in our coaching? And I look back and I'm like, I went right on track with my curriculum without even having a curriculum, or without even having like a program. So with that being said, with your question, starting with like the coaching plan would be really great, and like what you want to coach on, or like what you want to teach. What do you do?
I do holistic counseling and life coaching.
Okay. So I would say, like, when I first started doing the coaching, I had to meet with my client and then kind of get a feel for like what they have going on. And then I kind of created the plan based around like what their lifestyle was like and what what their finances looked like. I customized it very much to them. And now I can say, after it has been like 2 years now that I've been doing this, I can just go off of the base program that I have, and then incorporate new things within that. So even starting working with Jana, like I didn't really have the program set up like officially. And she was like, what are the pain points? Like, what type of things can you talk about on a monthly, weekly basis with your clients to, have a curriculum set up? And so just with doing that, I reevaluated everything, kind of created a baseline for like what I like to talk about with everybody, because I start my coaching program with budgets and like making goals and things like that, because I feel like that's the foundation to what I do. So it would be based off of what you think your clients or your ideal clients who you average, work with, what they usually go for, and then go from there with your plan, and then customize it based off of whoever you're working with and what they need from you.
And then create your projections from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jessica, my clients are like serious clients. Like they want to be in the 6 and 7 figure, but they're in the hourly mentality, and you can't hit 6 and 7 figures when you're there. So I know that you have a plan and that you do a curriculum on how to project that into like speaking, group coaching, books, so that they can see how to get from where they're at now and diversify their time in a much more lucrative way and get to that 6 and 7 figures.
Yeah. So I feel like with the plan, like having a plan is like the key factors, because like whatever you want to do, like wherever you want to get, like I work very closely with my coaching clients on like their goals, because that should motivate you to craft plans and like different outlets, like I was saying before, on increasing income, like finding little things that you can do within your business, within your programs, within your plans, your goals, everything to increase that income and provide, more valuable service to your already current clients, but then projecting out there, trying to meet that mark and to get new clients that are then going to pay you maybe more if you want to up your prices and things like that. And then also you have to question that, like, when is a good time to raise your prices? Because like for me, it was a tough thing for me to do, because I, like, for example, for my tax clients, like if they're just tax clients, they don't have a business, they don't do bookkeeping, they're not interested in coaching, things like that. I, like, for CPAs, they charge upwards of $1,000 just to do your taxes in California, and that's lowballing it. So like for me, I'm a firm believer that I will not charge $1,000 to prepare taxes. Like my average rate to prepare taxes for like a regular W-2 income person is going to range from $125 to $160, depending on what they have going on. And I feel like I will never go more than that under circumstances that are necessary, of course, depending on what my clients have going on. But like throughout the whole year, they can contact me, they can talk to me about, you know, financial advice, things like that. Like I am here for them whenever. So like, it's really up to you on like how you, that's why working with one-on-one clients for me is so exciting, because everybody has their goals that are so different from each individual person. And it's really up to you on what you feel like motivated to do. If you want to be in six figures and you want to make it to that point in a certain amount of time, we go over that. We set up a plan. We craft what needs to happen, when it needs to happen. We craft different outlets for you to increase that income. Like what can you be doing within your business to generate more income, put yourself out there more. And sometimes it means doing things that you don't like to do, or that you know, feel nervous to do, or you know, things like that. But I'm here as an accountability partner and that person to tell you like, this is what needs to happen in order for you to like make it to that next level.
And by the way, Jessica has over 4,000 clients. So she has figured out the magic way of diversifying her time, because if she was meeting with them weekly for an hour, that just wouldn't work. And yet they're all happy. They're all being fed exactly what they need. And it's been a beautiful connection for her. So I want you guys to create that beautiful plan that gives you more time, more clients, and gets you to that 6 and 7 figure. I have a question here from Dr. D that says, I struggle with pricing out packages and services. Do you have any suggestions on how to determine the right price? And this is probably the hardest thing for all of us, because we feel like we're overcharging, but we're really undervaluating ourselves. And people, when they want results, if I'm doing my taxes and I don't want the IRS to come after me because of a gray area loophole, I'm not bargain shopping, right? I'm going to pay what I need to get done and I'm done, right? I feel good about it, and I'm not going to worry about any backlash from it later.
Yeah. And I do know a lot of my tax clients are concerned with like, if they're bringing in more money, what bracket are they going to be put into? And then that's when we go over, maybe it's time to incorporate so that you stay at 21% versus going into the 37% tax bracket and paying out everything you own, right? So when it comes to pricing and like thinking about how much money you're going to be bringing in, you need to like think about it in this aspect. Like the money you're bringing in, you want to be saving at least 10% of it into an out of sight, out of mind account, either way, because of that safety net. So for me, I don't like to be stressed. I don't like to be thinking like, what if I'm going to owe money on my taxes? So for me, I guess I would categorize myself as like a money hoarder, because I'm sitting here like, I want to be prepared for anything. And if COVID has taught me anything, it's like, you never know what can happen in life, right? So I have an emergency fund for everything. I have sinking funds for everything. So making sure that you have savings and you have that money set aside should make you feel like, I want to bring in all the monies and I want to be like a millionaire. Because if you know how your money is coming in and what your expenses are and what you need to be saving in a percentage type of way, you will be safe, you will be okay. And if you have somebody that has your back, that like if you go to a CPA and they do your taxes and you call them and you say, hey, can you, run some numbers for me? I'm bringing in this amount, like on average every month. Like, what do you think that looks like in my taxes for the future for like, 2021 or whatever your questions are? Chances are going to a CPA, just letting you know, it's probably going to cost you just to have them even sit down and look at your stuff. So if you can do it, like Google it, right? There's calculators on Google for everything. So right now, if you don't have an accountant, but you have these questions on like what you could potentially owe for taxes this coming tax season, go on Google, check it out, see where you're at. And if it's you only and not your spouse and you don't need his or her W-2, then it's even better. You can go on there and calculate it yourself. But I would definitely recommend, if you do have questions and you are feeling serious like anxiety over whether or not you're going to be bringing in too much money, that's never a thing. So as long as you're prepared and you're saving, you should be okay. But reach out to people, ask for advice, hire somebody that you feel comfortable with, an accountant, CPA, bookkeeper, financial coach, whatever makes you feel comfortable. But for me, I know that I don't know everything, so I have coaches for that. So I like to have that as a safety net as well, but I'm very I overdo everything in that aspect because I never want to be caught off guard. And I know that's a lot of people's struggle when it comes to like taxes, because they'll come in to see me and they're like, here's all my stuff. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Now you owe like $5,000. And then they like want to go die. So it's really important that you stay on top of it, you know where you're at, and do those checks on a quarterly basis, even midway through the year. Even if you have to call somebody to get like a consultation and pay for it or whatever, just to ease your stress about it, I would definitely do that too.
And of course, she also has, for those of you who are like more of a do-it-yourself, I want to do my own finances, I want to, because I got this until it gets really big. But she also does the group coaching where the first month's $1, just like we always set up. And you can go and do her units and start doing it on your own. And when you get to the point where I've gotten as far as I can on my own, and I actually need a professional to help me with this, then you can always reach out to her again, because she's your coach, right? But she's doing it in group coaching.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I had a Facebook group that was free, and it was just for everybody and anybody. I was posting tax tips and bookkeeping tips, and it was very light and fluffy. It didn't really go in deep to like, questions that people had. It was more of a safe environment for people to ask questions, but I feel like this new group that I'm starting is going to be very hands-on. It's like a slower version of my coaching for individual people. And I have like a monthly topic and then a topic of the week that's sort of like a subtopic from that monthly. And then each Friday I'll go in and talk to everybody about their questions and go over the topic of the week. But yeah, the group coaching is going to be really awesome. And I have a lot of people who are very interested. I have a couple of people that have joined already, and I'm like really excited because like I said previously, it's so taboo to talk about money. But once you get into a group that you trust and you feel like confident talking about your situation with, chances are there are other people who have been in your same boat that have the same questions, or they can give you feedback on like what they struggled with and how they resolved certain things. So the group coaching is going to be really cool for finances. I'm really excited.
So Melissa wants to know where she can find your paid group coaching, and Judy wants to know, she says she needs help creating a business plan and she would be interested in your contact info. And the other thing and she's right, once we start talking about money, it seems like instead of getting the answers we needed, open it up to more questions, which is good. That's really good. That means you're moving forward, right? So I think that would be really great if you put in the link to your paid Facebook group.
Yeah.
If you have that, and maybe a link where Judy can contact you.
Yep. 1 second. Let me grab that.
Does anyone else have questions about setting up their, like the charts of accounts blows me away because it's confusing, right? Stop laughing, Scott. You know me, I can't even talk money. It like makes my head hurt and I just want to make it, right? But at the end of the day, there's a responsibility that comes with making money. And you have to pay taxes. You have to separate everything correctly. It's just a lot. So she put her link in there if you guys want to grab it.
Jessica, I have a question. I just have and this might be a weird question, but it's been on my mind lately. Once you hit the multiple 6 figures and the 7 figures, does it behoove you to move your money to a different type of bank, or is that even something that's factual?
Yeah, sometimes. So I typically work with people who just use like average Bank of America sort of things. I do have a couple clients that I've worked with out of the country, and they have different banks and stuff like that. You can go with like an online bank situation, and sometimes they have different percentages for like cash backs and like, just incentives and things like that. So that would be the only reason that I would switch over to do like a bigger bank, I guess, is to have those incentives. And like, especially for like a savings account for your business, having that interest that's going to kick back to you on the percentage. I think I have a chart that I can send out that has percentages from like online banks that are not like, in-person tellers and things like that, but they kind of hold more money. And that's what more like, more than 6-figure earners kind of go with.
That's what I was thinking, because I'm like, I just don't see myself, when I'm earning that much money going to my corner bank. Like I just don't see that it's a good fit.
Yeah, and it's really cool going with different banks like that are made especially for people who are, top earners, I guess I should say, for lack of a different term. And I say that because they have different outlets to do investing with that account too. So like, let's say you have your money in this specific account, you can then talk to them, via online and whatever things that they have for you to go through as far as like investing. And they have advisors on there that probably, I have a client that uses one, I forget what the name of it's called, but he has like an advisor that just comes with his package. It's just like an incentive for them to sign up with this bank. I can probably get the information, but yeah. So using that type of bank for larger amounts is probably a really great way to go.
Thank you.
I will chime in that I love local banks, not small time one shop kind of things in the town, although I do keep some things there, but I have relationships with bankers, not banks.
Mm-hmm.
So in fact, you guys all know I call people by family. Uncle Dave, before he passed, wherever he was the vice president of the bank, we went because we took everything from the trust and all that and just went with him. He was the person that we followed around and went. So I love like Farmers and Merchants, and Pacific Mercantile is more commercial banks, but small businesses, when you have, or small banking groups, I guess you could say, maybe like, you know, in a few states or something like that, when you can make a phone call and talk to someone who goes and makes a decision, and you just start relationships with those guys when you're small, because as you get bigger, they all know you. I just get terrified of big banks. Look at how many banking collapses we've had lately, and you're just a number to them. So just like we've had relationships with Janet, and I love what you're talking about, Jessica, by the way. My head's just sitting here going like, cool, flipping around and something. So that's what I said. Just relationships are bigger than
Yes.
the bank itself that you go.
It's like the trust, that relationship, like, you know that they're going to handle your money and your finances like the best way possible. But I do want to throw in a little side note. I would not be doing anything with banking or investing or anything right now until the election's over. Let's just wait on all that.
That's a great question. I want to throw out. What about people who are moving out of California to some other state?
What is
that
the question?
transition part in the taxes and things like that? Is there anything you can say that it's any big loopholes or tricks or?
No, not really. I mean, I do taxes and bookkeeping for people out of country, out of state, like everywhere really. And I haven't seen, I mean, taxes are very different with each state. Some states don't even have like state tax. So it really depends on which state you're moving to and what they have going on. But I do a course that has, you know, a lot of information on each individual state, because I am certified to do taxes with anybody living anywhere. But I would have to do more research on that specific state, because it really just kind of gives me the basics to go off of. Like I said, it's like a basic foundation for doing taxes for every state, but there's little different things with each one.
Perfect, Jessica. Thank you so much for your time. Like, this was amazing. So you guys have a link in there if you want to join her coaching group and be a self-starter. She also has I'm not going to even blurb it out, but I know she has a Black Friday special coming out, so you can keep an eye on that too. And I put in her, or she put in her email address for you, Judy, so you can reach out to her. I will be putting this in the group so you guys can watch it. And before I let all of you go, I'm just going to let you know that we have been posting on Best Holistic Life, your blogs again. And so if you want to submit a blog to Best Holistic Life, I would totally take advantage of it. Because let me tell you, when I post them just to one place, Pinterest, I am getting one got 9.6 thousand hits. One's got 2.5. The one I posted this morning's already got 2.6 thousand hits. So the blogs, we found our sweet spot in posting blogs and getting attraction. You can put your free offer. You can put your nurturing email system in there where they're connecting to you that way. So if you guys want to post a blog, please let me know. I'll send you guys the link to posting the blogs, but it's now on the Best Holistic Life. Dr. D got really mad at me for shutting down the blogging because it was a lot of work for me to go out and promote each blog 3 times a week. But I'm glad I brought it back because it is booming right now. So I want to be able to get all of your blogs out. So anywhere from 12 to 1,500 words. I'll give you guys the form, and always be talking about educating them into your coaching group, educating them into your program, whatever that food is that you need to feed them. But it is getting huge hits. So I feel like we've definitely hit our sweet spot on it. And that's just one place I post. I post it everywhere in different formats, different keywords to see what we're attracting to you. So I just want to put that out there. So if you want to do blogs, let me know and I will send it to you. Okay, I am so excited we got through the money part. It was like fun. Jessica, you do make money fun, so yay.
I try.
So next week we're going to have the attorney come in and talk to us about what our disclaimers should look like. I think it's so important for all of you to be there, because I'm telling you, there's so many people moving their businesses to online, which means you also now get the slimy kind of people that make claims that aren't true, and everybody gets spanked when something like that happens. So I want to make sure that we're always very transparent, really authentic, and that we put what we need to put on there to protect ourselves. So she's going to be answering questions. So if you guys start thinking ahead, like, wait, my business is kind of unique, and I know some of you have to use, we're referred to HIPAA laws. And so I want to make sure that you're putting everything out there and you're very protected. And she's amazing. So I can't wait for you guys to meet her. Thank you guys very much. I'll put this in the room so you guys can get to it. Thank you so much, Jessica. I just love you. I love that you make numbers fun for me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Bye, guys. I'll talk to you soon.